This is a video to provide some technical assistance to the FBI since the director of the FBI stated in his testimony before Congress that they have had an iPhone in their possession from the San Bernadino shooters for approximately 2 months and have not been able to bypass Apple's encryption. So I'm going to lay out a series of steps that will allow a brute force attack to bypass the encryption and prevent any loss of data as long as it's followed competently. Okay, step one. In this case, I'm using an iPod Touch that's old and was broken. It had some water damage. I attempted to repair it unsuccessfully due to the extent of the water damage and, in fact, some marine life that had gotten in there. So it will be our stand-in for this video. Open the iPhone case. I don't know what kind of an iPhone it is. I simply read that it was an iPhone, and the director had made some comments that they had had it in their possession for approximately 2 months and had been unable to make to bypass the encryption. So open it up for whatever particular type of iPhone it happens to be. There's probably a YouTube video that describes how to open it up so that one can replace a cracked or broken screen. That seems to happen occasionally, and people make videos about how to open up each of the various iPhones and replace the screen since they like doing it themselves. Once it's open, you can see a little bit of the circuitry, although there's a metal shield and I'm not going to bother removing it at the moment. But once it's open, go online, look for that particular model of iPhone, and there will probably be a diagram that shows what the various chip components are on it. From this, locate the memory chip, and in step 3, physically remove the memory chip from the card. I've got some devices of the general sort that will allow a process known as desoldering. In this particular case, these two devices are used for much larger desoldering operations. I was doing some work on my car, and I happen to have them. There's more advanced ones, professional quality, that would allow someone to work on an integrated circuit level. Step 4. Once you've got the memory chip physically removed from the iPhone, the chip itself will have some identifying marks on it. From that, an electrical engineer should be able to identify who manufactured it, request the data sheet for that chip if it's not already publicly available, and then either build themselves if the FBI has a good electronics technician in-house, or they can send it out to a prototyping shop. There are several of them around the country that are perfectly competent. What they're going to want to build would be one, attach the memory device to a new circuit board that then has a direct memory access controller or DMA controller, and whatever is needed to output, say for instance a USB port, something so that it can then be put on an external device, an exact copy. Doesn't matter if the information is encrypted or not at this point. In fact, that's entirely irrelevant. As long as the copy itself is a bitwise copy and is therefore truly exact, the encryption doesn't matter at all. Step 5. Using the specification sheet from the memory manager, either that same electronics technician if they work for the FBI, or potentially the same electronics prototyping shop, or even a different one if the FBI happens to have rules that cause multiple bidding to happen. In step 5, the next phase is to solder on a holder that will allow a temporary memory chip to be inserted that has the exact same capacity as the original memory chip. And the reason it needs to have the exact same capacity is we are going to make a duplicate of the information from the original chip again and put it into the temporary copy. That's step 6, is to take our copy from the hard drive or the thumb drive and copy it onto the new chip, temporary. Then step 7, we're going to put the chip into the connector that was installed in step 5. Then step 8, power up the phone. At this point, as long as the jobs have been done correctly from steps 4, 5, 6, and 7, the phone will not know that there's a different piece of memory in there. It will have all of the exact same characteristics, and the rest of the phone circuitry simply doesn't know that a new chip is in there. So, step 9, and this will stand in. Take the handy dandy device, type in whatever combination you happen to want. In this case, it's a 4-digit PIN. There's approximately 10,000 possible combinations. Don't duplicate, simply type in a new combination from a list and move on. If the device opens up, then you have hit the correct PIN. If it does not, presuming that 2 unsuccessful attempts have been made previously, and somehow we know this, that being the worst case scenario for time, the device will then do its job according to Apple and will wipe out everything in memory. However, since that memory is simply a temporary copy, we can then proceed to step 11, which is to power off the phone, pull the temporary copy out, put it back into the device that was made that allows, or whatever device is being used to allow the copy to be made of the data in the hard drive, put it back in the phone and repeat until one is thoroughly disgusted or has managed to find the correct code. A little bit of math. If one presumes that the person or persons working on this are working approximately standard 8-hour days and are able to enter the blisteringly fast 1 code per minute. By the way, it takes me less than 4 seconds to put in the code on my particular Apple devices. But if they are able to work only at the rate of 1 per minute, then in approximately 21 working days, they will have exhausted all 10,000 possible combinations from a 4-digit PIN. It is likely that the temporary memory that's getting swapped in and out will have been erased repeatedly. However, nobody cares. Once they finally have the correct code in, they'll have access to everything because they will be recognized by that phone as that phone's owner. In additional things, let's see, some random notes. I don't have one nearby. No, I don't. I will, oh, yes I do. Aha! A stylus. These are very, very nice. You can put one in a robot's gripper jaws and let it be programmed to move around in case one doesn't want to bother with a human being. You could probably give this as an exercise to a bunch of high school students and let them program the robot to punch in sequence every possible combination, then use a camera looking at the Apple device and see whether or not the combination was successful. That would automate it and allow, instead of 8 hours a day to be run, the robot could realistically run 24 hours a day, and if it actually is able to work faster than a human, so much the better. With a 24 hours a day thing, that would cut it down to approximately a week needed to hold onto a phone to cover every possible combination and guarantee that you've managed to acquire the data from the San Bernadino shooters that the FBI claims that it desperately needs. So, I'm pulling out some notes here. Let's see. Um, just some random suggestions. I don't actually know the internals of the device. However, theoretically, instead of putting back in a RAM chip or using a RAM chip to put back in, it's possible that it may be usable with a what's known as a PROM chip, or programmable read-only memory. The read-only memory would then be able to prevent any of the attempts from the other chips to erase the uh, memory that the FBI wishes to access. That's a hardware issue, and the best people who would know that would be Apple's hardware engineers. I don't know, I don't care. The method works, as is brute force. Uh, with a robot, realistically, should be done in 4 to 5 days. Maximum time would be a week. And without a robot, with humans working only 8 hours a day and only on weekdays, it would require 21 work days, which is just over a month. The FBI director, as I may have mentioned previously, and I apologize if I didn't, had stated to Congress that they had had the device in their possession for approximately 2 months. So by now, if they had used this method, the FBI would have all of the answers that they could possibly desire from the phone, because they would have convinced it that they were the rightful owners. Anyway, pass this along to anybody you feel like. There are, in fact, methods that I can figure out. You can purchase books on this stuff. I have some sitting on the shelf near me. Just go to a university that has any sort of advanced computer engineering security type program, and if you walk into their bookstore, you can probably convince the bookstore to sell you books on security, whether or not you're even a US citizen. Uh, in some cases, they don't even care whether you're a student there. So the information is effectively publicly available for everything that I have listed in the video. I have put it together in hopefully a straightforward method that the FBI can actually follow. As I said, it's a roughly 12-step process with some of the steps repeated in a loop, and I have provided the text form of this to the Electronic Frontier Foundation, Fox News, and USA Today, since those are, well, the Electronic Frontier Foundation was planning on filing an amicus curiae brief, according to their website, the person that I spoke with on the phone, and the article in Fox News. Similarly, the original two media sources that I saw for this were Fox News and USA Today, so as a courtesy I provided them the information. Since they haven't, any of the three of them, gotten back to me, I thought I would attempt to put this out there so that the FBI will know how to do its job in a much more efficient manner, and will not require any sort of software assistance from Apple in any way, shape, or form whatsoever, because there's a hardware solution that's much easier than breaking the software. Thank you much. Have a nice day. please pass this on to any and every person that you can find, as long as doing so is legal in your jurisdiction.